In the dimly lit corner of a stylish downtown cafe, a bitter chill hung heavy in the air, mirroring the gnawing uneasiness that clung to Robert "Rob" Turner. The piercing, acrid scent of freshly brewed coffee barely masked his growing discomfort. With every unapologetic tick of the clock above, his fingers wrapped tighter around the ceramic mug. Just days before, he had been the king of his castle, spending long evenings with his wife Emma, dreaming of a future paved with security, love, and shared ambition. Now those dreams hung by a thread, tethered only by the faintest flicker of their supposed vows. Rob had built his life around trust, a pillar that had driven him to work tirelessly as an investment banker. He had sacrificed countless sunsets and weekend adventures, always believing that his dedication would solidify not just his career but also the foundation of his family. Emma had been the sunflower in his garden, her laughter echoing like music, brightening even the bleakest of moments. Little did he know, that very light harbored shadows. As if off stage, Rob's phone buzzed, breaking through his reverie. He glanced at the screen, his heart nearly stopping. One message, with a name he recognized, yet never once imagined would bring the impending storm. Isabel. Her words dripped with malice and excitement, detailing a rendezvous, a night spent not just in the arms of another, but specifically with someone deep within their circles. Someone he called a friend, Mark. The crushing reality shattered his illusions, leaving shards of betrayal stabbing mercilessly into his heart. Brushing aside his fear, Rob rushed to the hotel where he knew they would be, his resolve hardening into a steely determination. He almost preferred the pain of confrontation over the suffocating silence of ignorance. As he burst through the door of the room 312, any remaining inkling of doubt dissipated. The sight of Emma entangled in Mark's arms, their voices filled with hushed whispers and stolen glances, cut deeper than any dagger could. "Rob, what are you doing here?" Emma's voice was a mixture of fear and confusion as she disentangled herself, panic flashing across her face, illuminating the chilling coldness of her betrayal. "What am I doing here? What are you doing here?" He spat the words like venom. The chaos erupted, fueled by rage and heartbreak, drawing the exposed lovers into the blaring light of their indiscretions. Mark stammered, stumbling through half-hearted excuses that echoed like pitiful cries of an animal cornered. Emma's cheeks flushed with embarrassment and shame, a stark contrast to the callousness she had displayed mere moments earlier. "Rob, please, let's talk about this. I can explain." Her attempt at composure only enraged Rob further. "Explain what?" "How you chose to lie in the bed of my so-called friend while I worked my fingers to the bone for us," he seethed, the charged air swirling around them, fueling his next words. "This ends today. You do not get to play victim. You've betrayed the one person who gave you everything." The atmosphere crackled with unspoken anticipation. This would not be the end of the conversation. It was merely the opening act of an unfolding drama, where justice would soon claim its prey. Rob's mind raced. He would not allow them the luxury of mere apologies. He was done with the charade of civility. As he stormed out, a trail of rage followed him. Igniting every ounce of wrath, he now turned towards rebuilding his life, a task unyielding yet imperative. No more would he be a passive player in this twisted game. He would meticulously dismantle the fragile world Emma and Mark had constructed upon the remains of his trust. Rob's transformation began with precision. Every account they shared was scrutinized, assessed, lonely figures calculated on a spreadsheet that now burned brightly with the fury of betrayal. By the time he was through, Emma would find herself locked out of their shared future, both figuratively and literally. He tracked every expense, every shared trip, as if mapping a battlefield, each number a soldier ready to fight for his honor. The compulsion to bring devastation to their carefully woven lives consumed him, leaving no space for the cowardly kindness he had once lavished upon them. He filed divorce papers demanding full custody of their son, Benjamin, along with an equitable share of their assets. Rob would settle for nothing less, his resolve hardening like steel. In his clear-headed rage, he emerged from the wreckage of his heart, determined and defensive, embodying the essence of a man tempered by profound anguish. He craved the taste of victory, and the path to triumph required the obliteration of his enemies. As the legal proceedings drew near, he took satisfaction in the slow unraveling of Emma's facade of confidence. Her frantic calls for negotiation fell on deaf ears. He refused to engage. In the courtroom, the stage was set, the very place he intended to dismantle all she had built atop his love. Emma arrived with painful trepidation. As the gavel slammed down, the weight of two lives, now divided, hung heavy in the air. Rob's chest swelled with determination as her expression melded from feigned strength to creeping despair. With each testimony and every bit of evidence he presented, Emma's social network eroded. Friends who once rallied behind her started silently siding with the betrayed. Her phone buzzed with tired apologies, acceptance of her new reality, crumbling like the very home they had built. Feeling empowered, Rob reveled in his role as architect of her demise. He had clawed back from the depths of deception, and his every decision now echoed with consequence. As he prepared his closing statement, the weight lifted from his spirit, filled with a sense of rightful vengeance. This was only the beginning. With the courtroom murmuring around them, Rob caught Emma's eye. Even through the fissures of anger and hurt, there flickered a haunting desperation, a speck of the love they had once shared. But Rob took no pleasure in it. The emotional chains binding him were severed, and he had no intention of looking back. Let this be a lesson in trust and betrayal, he concluded, standing tall under the weight of his moral superiority. The silence in the room hung like a dark cloud, and the gavel signaled the end. Emma ached for forgiveness, yet Rob felt only the cold hardness of reality, free from her grasp, never to look back. However, his battle was far from over. The true test would come as he engaged in the final act of justice against Mark and the entanglements of their shared existence. A battle that seemed daunting, yet felt decidedly within reach. His metamorphosis had just begun. It was not merely about vengeance, but survival, and he planned to emerge victorious. Emma had betrayed his trust, but he would not be a victim any longer. Rob was ready to reclaim his world, his dignity, and his love for Benjamin. The downward spiral of betrayal was just the beginning, and the crescendo of his triumph awaited. Over the following weeks, Rob immersed himself in the grind of legal battles, fueled not merely by the desire for retribution, but by the fierce, protective love he held for his son, Benjamin. Every document filed served as a building block toward dismantling the life Emma had constructed on the ashes of their marriage. The divorce proceedings felt like a war. Each time he entered the courtroom, his resolve only intensified. Rob was no longer the naive husband who had trusted indiscriminately. He had become the embodiment of vengeance wrapped in determination, sharpened by betrayal, yet anchored by the unyielding love for his child. He meticulously organized every piece of evidence against Emma and Mark, including bank statements showing shared accounts drained by extravagant spending, the luxury hotel rooms, designer clothes, and dinners marked by indulgence that he never approved of. As he stacked each printed page, he felt a surge of power, as if with every click of his printer, he had taken another small step toward reclaiming his life. Finally, the day arrived when he would confront Mark directly. The confrontation had to be public. He needed everyone to see Mark for who he truly was, a coward, hiding behind a false mask of friendship. Rob invited Mark to a charity golf tournament that their company organized, presenting this as an opportunity for reconciliation. It would be the perfect stage to expose Mark's duplicity. A day that was meant to raise funds instead became a calculated site for revenge. With the sun shining bright that day, Rob kept his emotions veiled under a calm exterior, yet inside, a tempest brewed. As they stood on the lush, manicured greens, the sight of Mark, oblivious yet smug, ignited a fire in Rob. Mark's delighted laugh, a mockery of everything he had lost, echoed in Rob's ears as they teed off. "This is a great turnout," Mark said, oblivious to the storm brewing behind Rob's steady demeanor. I think it's just what we needed to boost morale after those layoffs. Good thing you're back on your feet, huh? Rob's anger flared momentarily, but he quickly masked it with a hard smile. It's about time we focus on the right things, Mark. Like accountability. As they moved from hole to hole, Rob seized the moment, steering the conversation toward financial responsibility and the importance of trust among colleagues. Each swing of his club struck more than just a ball. It was a symbolic representation of every betrayal he had endured. At the ninth hole, amidst the laughter and casual conversations of their colleagues, Rob felt the air thicken with impending confrontation. Taking a deep breath, he paused on the green and faced Mark directly. You know, I always believed that a true friend wouldn't betray another's trust, and yet, here we are. Mark's face morphed from confusion to a dawning realization as Rob continued. I've seen what you've been up to, Mark. I know all about the late-night calls, the hotel stays, all while I trusted you as my closest friend. Gasps rippled through their small crowd of acquaintances, some folks inching closer, curious about the unfolding drama. Mark's hands trembled on the golf club, a look of panic crawling over his face. Rob, I don't know what you're talking about, he stammered, trying to regain control. Don't play naive. The truth won't hide behind desperate lies for long. Rob paused for effect. You know Emma is the least of your problems now. You've made the wrong enemy. The onlookers shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between the two men, eager to piece together the growing tension. Rob leaned in, his voice low yet laden with confidence. You think you can walk away unscathed? When I'm through, you'll lose more than just my respect. You'll lose your job, your friends, and ultimately, the image you've clung to. All because you thought you could betray me without consequence. The weight of his words landed with a gravity that echoed loudly within the crowd, the unspoken acknowledgement vibrating in the air. Mark's expression twisted from confusion to horror as the realization sunk in that Rob held every card. Caught between betrayal and cowardice, Mark? Is your legacy really worth this? Rob seized the moment, his voice rising in fervor. It's time to face the truth. Our professional lives aren't the only things at stake. Our reputations hang on your lies. Each syllable peeled away the veneer of pretense Mark had worn. As the crowd witnessed their entities collapsing, murmurs erupted. Fewer people were on Mark's side now. The camaraderie they once celebrated seemed fragile in the face of the revealed reality. Rob's heart raced with every passing moment. He felt in control, dark satisfaction creeping upon him, feeding into the power shift that had taken place before his very eyes. You can't hide behind sweet smiles anymore. You wanted to take everything? You'll soon learn that the ultimate price of betrayal is everything you hold dear. With that, he stepped back, allowing the audience to stew in the aftermath of his revelation. Rob turned to walk away, but not before catching the reproach from his former friend, his eyes filled with a blend of confusion and fear. Rob's heart thudded in his chest. He felt vindicated, like a phoenix rising from ashes. Word quickly spread through their social circle about Mark's indiscretion, as those who had once welcomed him began to turn their backs. The whirlwind of Rob's boldness bore witness to a social collapse that showcased the often cruel ramifications of deception. In the days that followed, Rob capitalized on this momentum, applying the same calculated approach to dismantle the remaining shreds of Emma's dignity. Official paperwork flooded the court system, meticulously detailing the love she had abandoned in her quest for selfish indulgence. Equipped with damning evidence, he orchestrated a small gathering of their mutual acquaintances for what he had named an intervention. The reality was a public correction, a showcase of the betrayal he had endured, an attempt to dismantle her image completely. The dinner took place in a local upscale restaurant, clouded by conversations buzzing through the air like dangerous whispers. As Emma walked in, flushed and hopeful, she was met not with the warmth she sought, but with cold stares and hushed judgments spilling candidly into the ether. Rob's heart raced as he noted the shifting atmosphere, the crowd reminded of her misdeeds. "Welcome, everyone," Emma announced, her voice shaky but defiant. I know we need to talk about... Before she could finish, Rob interrupted her, standing with an air of authority. No, Emma, this is not about you anymore. All it takes is one moment of truth to shift the ground beneath your feet. With the collective gaze of their friends trained on them, Rob began exposing her transgressions. Emotions ran high, anger boiling over as her pleas for understanding were overshadowed by the very accusations she had fought to bury. You may have thought it was a game, Rob asserted. But we all know now it's our trust that was shattered. You've shown us your true colors, and you can't run from the consequences. As the evening unfurled, the social ties that had previously bound Emma to her friends began to disintegrate. Those who once rallied around her found themselves enlightened, echoing Rob's sentiments. They didn't view him as the scorned husband. They saw him as a man unearthing the truth, one that deserved a standing ovation for sheer courage. By the end of the night, Emma was left limping through the remnants of her reputation, every word a reminder of her betrayal. Brush-offs and sidelong glances impaled her from all sides, and as the final clinking of glass echoed into the night, Rob stood alone, a silhouette of vengeance, softened by the glow of regained dignity. He had toiled through betrayal's searing flames and emerged reborn, a warrior who had risen from the ashes, refusing to allow doubt to mar his resolve any longer. When he returned home, he felt not just relief but triumph. The emotional weight he intended to shed had finally dissolved into the night. He had reclaimed his life, not without scars, but with strength instilled through adversity. The battlefield had left him victorious, and the world he had built was rich with the promise of brighter tomorrows. The sun set on his past, but dawn had never looked so bright. As the weeks transitioned into months, Rob's power over the unfolding chaos involving Emma and Mark only intensified. The societal repercussions of their betrayal served as a catalyst for Rob's transformation. Each passing day, he found himself shedding remnants of the victim he once was, stepping confidently into the role of a strategist, a man who had been enmeshed in darkness, but emerged fiercely determined to reclaim his dignity and that of his son. Rob immersed himself in work, pouring his energy into projects at the bank. Every monumental achievement was a quiet reminder that he was unbreakable. His colleagues, once jaded by the scandal that had rippled through their social circle, began to see him in a new light. They rallied around him, some sharing whispered words of support, others expressing admiration for his resilience and determination to thrive in the wreckage. Meanwhile, Emma's attempts at redemption fell flat. She waded through legal repercussions, her threats dissipating like smoke in the wind. The network of friends she once depended on was frayed. They no longer whispered sweet nothings of solidarity, but murmured questions about her integrity. Even Mark, who once proved so alluring, had fallen into obscurity. As his job slipped away, replaced by abandonment, he soon became an outcast, one that had lost not just a friend but his own foothold in their professional landscape. Rob had succeeded in isolating both of them, but he understood that their pain was only part of a larger picture he meticulously crafted. He refused to let his anger consume him. Instead, he harnessed it into tangible achievements. His life began to pivot, flourishing in ways he had previously deemed impossible. His home became a sanctuary, a fortress for Benjamin and himself, one transformed by laughter rather than tension. The nights of loneliness were replaced with moments rich in connection. Board games scattered across the table, and bedtime stories hummed soothingly, which filled the once hollow halls. Rob discovered a renewed passion for parenting, committing himself to forge a strong bond with his son. Every milestone Benjamin reached became a celebration, serving as a reminder of what true love and loyalty resembled. Together, they explored new activities, hiking the trails behind their home, joining a local soccer league, and painting their backyard in vibrant colors. The brickwork of trust that he had sought to rebuild with his son did not only restore their lives, It also culminated in Rob's inner renaissance. However, he recognized that closure could not arrive until he faced Emma one last time. She still lurked in the shadows of his life, threatening to reopen wounds he had meticulously stitched up. Therefore, decisively, he arranged an official meeting, one devoid of hostility, but laden with undeniable resolution. When the day arrived, Rob stood poised outside a popular downtown cafe. The backdrop of his past clashed dramatically with the new web of possibilities he now wove. The sun illuminated the path he had traveled, and he felt a strange sense of calm mixed with indignation. Emma appeared, her face marred by an uncharacteristic vulnerability, yet she bore the remnants of arrogance he had once known. "Rob, thank you for agreeing to meet," she began, her tone an amalgamation of desperation and hope. "I've been wanting to discuss how we move forward for Benjamin's sake." "Forward?" he echoed, incredulous at the audacity of her words. "Is that what you think we can do? Move forward? After everything? Please, hear me out," she insisted, sincerity washing over her features. "I've made mistakes. Huge, irreversible mistakes." She stressed the last two words, her voice tremulous. "But I'm trying to understand how to be a better parent, to be better." "By trying to win back the relationship we lost?" Rob interjected. "Did you ever think about how your actions affect him? Or was it all about your feelings?" The nerve of her continued attempts to skirt accountability inflamed his sense of injustice. "You think words will suffice? That apologies erase betrayal? I can never put together the pieces of shattered trust, Emma. Do you even understand the wreckage you've caused?" Their conversation oscillated like the tides, each word a back-and-forth struggle, but Rob remained resolute. The scars from her betrayal were still fresh, carved deeply into his psyche. Rob's loathing for her acts of selfishness fueled his resolve. Even in this moment, he could feel victory within reach, but it hinged on more than just his emotions. Eventually, Emma faltered, her bravado giving way to tears that cascaded down her cheeks. "I never meant to hurt you, Rob. I didn't know what I was doing. I was lost." Rob steeled himself against her lamentations. "Lost? You viewed the love we built as disposable. You believed it would never matter. This isn't about you recovering from some misguided phase. This is about facing the consequences of your actions." As he struck the words heavier, the cafe buzzed quietly around them. Pairs of curious eyes turned toward their table, judging the confrontation, some whispering, others pretending not to listen. Rob recognized how this served as retribution, not just for his own sense of honor, but also for Benjamin. "I'm asking for you to recognize my role in Benjamin's life," Emma continued, frustration bleeding into her voice. "You can't erase the past like you can erase mistakes. We can still co-parent. I am willing to fight for our family." "Family?" Rob echoed incredulously. "You tossed aside our family for fleeting thrills. You stole away moments from me, those irreplaceable memories. Coupled them with the kind of distrust that lingers long after betrayal. You think I would let you back into our lives like nothing happened?" At that moment, everything fell silent around them. Rob was painted in hues of resolve and righteous anger. He was not merely speaking to Emma. He was declaring both an end and a beginning, enforcing the boundaries he had painstakingly created for himself and Benjamin. "I want you to understand that I'll never let you tear down what I've rebuilt. I'll ensure that Benjamin knows what loyalty and love truly mean. You lost your privilege as his mother when you chose to abandon us." Her face, once vibrant with spirit, flushed with humiliation. He had stripped her of her defenses, and now she stood exposed. As she wiped her tears, it was clear that illusions regarding reconciliation would falter against the harsh realities they now faced. And in that shared moment, Rob recognized his personal victory, the transformation he had achieved not just for himself, but for Benjamin. He had transformed pain into a shield, and the walls he fortified became symbols of resilience. "Let's discuss custody arrangements," he concluded firmly, his voice unwavering. "And let's make it clear. You will respect the boundaries set. This isn't up for negotiation." Emma's silence spoke volumes, acknowledging that their paths had diverged. Rob left the cafe, no longer burdened by the memory of who they had been. He had forged a path towards securing the love and trust of his son. Beyond the pain, he could feel the walls of hope beginning to rise, strong, impenetrable, and vibrant. The very essence of a new dawn emerging from the shadows of yesterday. As the birdsongs harmonized with the striking dawn, Rob no longer feared the echoes of betrayal. Instead, he welcomed the acidulous warmth of redemption, an affirmation of new beginnings and transformative love as he moved steadfastly forward. The months that followed Rob's confrontation with Emma unfolded like scenes from a tightly woven narrative, filled with ups and downs, yet anchored firmly by his commitment to his son, Benjamin. The legal proceedings for custody began to take shape. Every document filed a testament to his effort, and every court appearance a chapter in his reclamation story. Rob frequently had discussions with his attorney, Laura, a sharp-minded woman who specialized in family law. She had become a steadying influence, guiding him through the minefield that was the divorce and custody battle. Each meeting signaled another step towards securing a future unmarred by his previous life, a chance to emerge victorious. "Rob, you need to be strategic here," Laura advised one morning, her voice measured as she flipped through their case files. "Emma may try to play the emotional card. Don't let her manipulate the narrative. Focus on what's best for Benjamin." He nodded, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on him. "I understand. I want to ensure Benjamin knows he is the priority in all of this." Laura leaned back in her chair, her gaze steady. "Good. Keep that front and center. We'll argue for full custody, but we need evidence of harmful behavior, things that demonstrate instability on Emma's part." "Any documentation?" Rob took a deep breath. "I have texts from her friends where they mention her reckless lifestyle, parties, and a few concerning choices about her associations. She doesn't refer to Benjamin as often as she should in her conversations." He dug through his bag and produced a stack of printouts. "These detail late-night outings and interactions with Mark. I believe they're all relevant." As Laura read through the messages, her eyes narrowed. "This is excellent. We can build a solid case around your commitment to Benjamin's well-being while highlighting her neglect." Each breakthrough felt exhilarating, filling Rob with newfound energy. He was no longer in the passive role, waiting for the storm to pass. He was the storm, a whirlwind of purpose, intent on reshaping his and Benjamin's future. The courtroom dates loomed, and Rob poured himself into preparations. With determined hands, he gathered character witnesses, those who could corroborate his consistent presence in Benjamin's life. Friends and family came forward, eager to express their respect for him as a father. As each witness took the stand, Rob realized how much support surrounded him, contrasting sharply with Emma's isolating choices. She rarely reached out. Her friends had distanced themselves. Doubt swiftly followed the betrayal. In the eyes of those who once revered her, judgment painted a stark picture. When their case finally went to trial, Rob stood resolute. As he took the stand, the familiar court benches felt like an arena, a stage set for the showcase of his principles and determination. With each question posed by the judge, Rob articulated the essence of fatherhood: dedication, love, and sacrifice. He spoke emphatically about the lengths he had gone to provide a stable environment for Benjamin. "Your Honor," he began, his voice clear and potent, "I have dedicated my life to being the best father I can be. Every choice I've made, every sacrifice, has been for Benjamin's happiness and stability. I believe he deserves to grow up in a loving, secure environment, one that can offer him normalcy, free from chaos." Amidst those powerful words, memories danced through him. The laughter shared during soccer matches, the smallest moments of teaching him to ride a bike, and the warmth of their bedtime stories. Each recollection fortified his conviction that he was not only a survivor, but a protector. Emma's attorney attempted to disprove Rob's narrative, arguing that he was trying to ruin her chance at being a mother. Rob is a jilted spouse seeking revenge. How can we trust his vision of being a good father when he can't even offer forgiveness? Rob's skin prickled. Though he had endured countless trivializations, he remained steadfast. "This isn't about retribution. This is about Benjamin," he asserted, his voice unwavering. "I never wanted us to reach this point, but I refuse to allow my son's future to be dictated by someone who lacks accountability." As Rob faced Emma's cross-examination, he focused on maintaining composure. Emma, now stripped of her straw man facade, faltered. Her once intimidating presence wavered visibly. The values of trust, loyalty, and commitment were under scrutiny, and she could only weave a tapestry of excuses, desperately attempting to downplay the consequences of her choices. After lengthy days of deliberation, a decision loomed, a judgment that would dictate the trajectory of their lives. Rob felt the heaviness of the impending resolution as he and Laura awaited the judge's ruling. Anxiety surged through him like an electric current. Finally, the day arrived, the courtroom buzzing with anticipation. As they settled into their seats, Rob's heart raced. He felt the weight of his journey, the will to fight for his son swinging like a pendulum in his mind. The judge cleared his throat, gazing sternly at both parties. "It is, with due consideration of the testimonies presented and the current lifestyle activities referenced, that I conclude." The space warped in anticipation. Rob's breath hitched. "With the overwhelming evidence demonstrating the priority of Benjamin's welfare, I award full custody to Rob Turner." A rush of relief surged through him as a wave of emotion crashed over him, causing tears of joy to prick his eyes. The court erupted into murmurs, but Rob only heard the pulse of his own heartbeat, like a thrilling victory chant. Emma, now pale and disoriented, looked as if she had withered. Her eyes glimmered with disbelief and anger, while Rob felt a flicker of veracity regarding the scars she had inflicted on their lives. As he left the courtroom, a mixture of gratitude, elation, and a sense of renewed responsibility flooding through him, he understood that this was not just a personal win, it was a battle for Benjamin's future. Glimmers of hope brightened his path as the world opened before him. Benjamin would never spiral into confusion nor endure the agony he had faced. He hugged his son tight, promising him a life filled with laughter and love, sans the shadow of betrayal. The transformation from victim to victor struck at the heart, not merely for revenge, but a celebration of life's fragility, the power of resilience, and the undeniable truth that, despite darkness, light could always prevail. Days turned into weeks as Rob shifted his focus towards rebuilding the family unit he had long cherished. With newfound determination and purpose, Rob transitioned into his new role as a full-time father. Each moment became an opportunity to strengthen their bond. One evening, as they collaborated on an art project in the living room, splashes of vibrant colors spilled across the canvas. Laughter and voice created a warm, inviting atmosphere. Benjamin turned to him, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Dad, this is the best night." Rob felt his heart swell. "Just you wait until you see what adventures await. This is only the beginning." In that moment, he realized how far he had come. What once felt like an unending cycle of pain had become a narrative expressing hope and resilience. The darkness from his past served merely as a foundation, teaching him the value of protecting what truly mattered. He found himself no longer shackled by memories of betrayal, but empowered by the knowledge that in each trial, he had forged strength. Through every hardship, Rob had not only survived but thrived, a testament to the endurance of love, loyalty, and unwavering determination to create a future unmarred by the choices of others. With Benjamin beside him, laughter echoing through the walls of their home, Rob realized that the scars of the past, while permanent, would no longer dictate their future. Instead, together they would venture forth into a tapestry of unbroken love, courage, and unwavering trust, bound by the promise of brighter tomorrows. As the weeks rolled into months, Rob experienced a transformation not just in his external surroundings, but also within his very essence. Parenting Benjamin became more than just a duty. It turned into a passion that filled the void left by his tumultuous past. He took it as a challenge to nurture resilience and joy in his son, choosing to replace the echoes of betrayal with laughter and light. The mornings became a routine of warmth. Pancakes flipped under the golden glow of the kitchen light, coffee brewing in anticipation of the day's adventures. "Dad, can we go to the park today?" Benjamin asked one Saturday, enthusiasm radiating from him like sunlight. "Of course," Rob replied, kneeling down. "But first, how about you help me with these pancakes? We'll need energy for all the fun." As the flour dust danced in the air, they engaged in playful banter, each giggle punctuating their time together. Rob loved witnessing Benjamin's spirit. Every question asked was a small window into the curiosity that shaped his childhood. It inspired Rob to encourage his son to explore the world with wide eyes. After breakfast, they headed to the park, where the sunlight draped over the landscape. Playgrounds filled with the shrills of laughter welcomed them both. As Benjamin raced ahead, Rob's heart swelled with pride. Watching him climb higher on the jungle gym was both thrilling and nerve-wracking. But he relished every second, knowing that these were the moments that defined their new reality. One day, while pushing Benjamin on the swing, Rob spotted a poster for a local father-child art competition. Inspiration surged through him. "Hey, buddy, how about we sign up for an art contest together?" he suggested, his voice bubbling with excitement. Benjamin's eyes sparkled. "Yes! I want to make the biggest, best painting ever." They spent every weekend gathering supplies, canvas, paints, brushes, and brainstorming ideas. Rob guided Benjamin, allowing him creative freedom while infusing his own artistic methodologies. They painted landscapes that transformed their dreams into vivid hues and depicted the adventures they wished to embark upon. The process became a bonding ritual, a space where emotions flowed freely. Benjamin expressed his fears about becoming more involved at school, and Rob shared lessons learned from navigating uncertainty in his life. Together, they created not merely art, but a fortress woven through shared experiences, grounded in honesty and resilience. As the competition approached, excitement bubbled over. Their painting was an abstract explosion of color, each brushstroke a testament to laughter, trust, and steadfast love. The day of the exhibition arrived, the community center buzzing with energy. The room was filled with proud parents showcasing their children's work, the air thick with camaraderie. When it was their turn to present, Rob stepped up to the easel, a flutter of nervous energy rippling through him. "This piece reflects our journey together, a celebration of rebirth and creativity." He gestured towards Benjamin, "My son, who inspired me to paint again and live fully." The audience erupted into applause. But as he glanced at Benjamin, whose face beamed with pure joy, Rob found his own heart thumping with pride. It was in this moment, amidst cheers and laughter, that he realized the depths of their connection had grown immeasurably. Even as their lives flourished, Rob took precautions to mitigate the potential chaos from the outside world. He ensured Benjamin had the emotional support needed, infusing moments of lifestyle discussions with gradual introductions to relationships. He invited his parents over to spend more time with their grandson, a chance to reconvene the familial warmth they had lost. But amidst the flourishing life they cultivated, shadows from the past lingered, often creeping into his thoughts during quiet moments. Rob couldn't shake the nagging worry that Emma might resurface, seeking a form of re-entry into their lives. She had petitioned for visitation rights multiple times. Each request was another reminder of the tether she still held, a lifeline linked to shared history. One evening, as Rob flipped through paperwork, he received an unexpected phone call. His heart sank upon recognizing Emma's number. "Rob, can we talk?" His breath caught as memories of betrayal rushed back, but he pushed through the apprehension. "What's on your mind?" "I've been thinking a lot about everything," she began, her voice tinged with hesitation. "I want to be there for Benjamin. I miss him, and I miss my role in his life." The audacity of her request struck him like a blow. It didn't matter how she framed it. He could not allow it to undermine the foundations he carefully built. "Emma, you lost that right when you made choices that endangered our family. Benjamin deserves stability, not uncertainty." "You've made your point, Rob," she said quietly. "But I'm willing to work on myself. I'm seeing a therapist. I want to show that I can be a better mother." Rob felt an uneasy ripple wash over him. "Talk is cheap, Emma. Actions speak louder, and I can't risk Benjamin's well-being based on your promises." "I understand if you want to deny visitation," she replied, her tone softer now. "But I'm only asking for a chance to prove I can be present." Tension thickened the air between them as Rob processed his thoughts. The transformation Emma claimed to be undertaking lingered as a shadow of doubt, a reality he had yet to witness. "You need to understand that reconciliation will take time. It won't happen overnight. Just give me that chance," she implored, the vulnerability palpable in her voice. Rob hung up the phone, emotions bubbling within him. The fear of opening the door to Emma's past actions loomed large, yet beneath it, seeds of empathy flashed within him. He couldn't ignore the complexities of human emotions or the chance she might genuinely change for the better. He opened the door to the patio and sat in silence, battling with the decision that once felt simple. He knew Benjamin's happiness was paramount. Still, allowing Emma into the fold came with risks that could impact their renewed existence. The next day, Rob approached Laura, the trusted attorney who had been by his side throughout the tumult. "What do I do if she decides to fight for visitation rights? I've denied her request so far, but..." He paused, contemplating his thoughts. "What if she's truly sincere this time?" Laura leaned back thoughtfully. "You need to consider Benjamin's feelings, Rob. What's essential here is whether he would benefit from a relationship with his mother. If you feel she is genuinely seeking help and has made changes, you might want to explore a structured visitation arrangement, one that prioritizes stability." Rob nodded, processing the perspective. "What do you recommend in terms of structure?" "It could be monitored visits. You set clear boundaries and ensure a third party, perhaps a counselor, is present during the initial meetings. Safety first." Rob absorbed the information, knowing that navigating this would be an uphill battle, but wanting to allow Benjamin the freedom to foster relationships, even if it meant confronting fears of rejection that haunted both of them. "Now let's set boundaries," Rob finally decided, a sense of resolve washing over him. "I'll allow supervised visits, but under strict conditions." As they worked through the logistics, he felt torn. The fear that Emma could induce uncertainty hung heavily, yet he would strive to prioritize Benjamin's emotional growth above all else. He wanted their son to know the importance of compassion, but also the value of discernment, lessons forged from their shared experiences. The day would come when he would face Emma again, armed not just with walls, but also with the understanding that every action had consequences. Learning from betrayal meant choosing to be courageous, to embrace growth. And amidst these complex emotions, Rob reinforced the bonds within their small family, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would navigate the storm together. As he sat with Benjamin during those evenings, they painted new dreams, creating a future that would embody understanding, resilience, and love, sorting through the patterns of pain to craft a lasting tribute to healing. In the dance of life, they would evolve together as strong as the colors on their canvas, embracing the unpredictable yet beautifully messy journey ahead. As the decision regarding Emma's visitation rights loomed on the horizon, Rob found himself engulfed in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. He had crafted a life for Benjamin that thrived in the realm of stability and happiness. The very thought of allowing Emma back into their lives stirred a storm within him. But he understood that growth demanded courage and an openness to life's complexities. After days of deliberation, the court set a date for the first supervised visit. Rob stood in front of the mirror early that morning, adjusting his tie while contemplating the choices that led to this moment. He wanted to present himself as a figure of strength, not just to Emma, but more importantly, for Benjamin. He needed to embody confidence and calmness, showcasing that their well-being was his foremost priority. The appointed day arrived, and as Rob drove Benjamin to the family counseling center designated for the meeting, tension coiled tightly in his chest. Words failed him, and he focused on reassuring his son, who was both excited and apprehensive. "You're going to be okay, buddy," Rob said, glancing at his son through the rearview mirror. "Just be yourself, and don't hesitate to speak up if anything feels off." Benjamin nodded, though his eyes hinted at a whirlwind of questions swirling inside him. "What if Mom is still different?" he asked quietly, an edge of worry creeping into his voice. Rob took a deep breath. "You're safe with me, and if it seems like things aren't right, we'll talk about it. Remember, you have a voice. Your feelings matter." When they arrived at the center, Rob felt his resolve strengthen. The facility was designed to create a comfortable environment. Soft couches adorned the waiting room, walls painted in calming pastels. As they sat down, the counselor, Kelly, greeted them warmly. "Welcome, Rob, Benjamin. I'm glad you both are here for this important meeting." Rob sensed the professionalism in Kelly's demeanor. It offered him some reassurance. The atmosphere felt therapeutic, fostering a sense of hope amidst his apprehension. "We're here to support Benjamin's journey as he reconnects with Emma," Kelly explained. "This will be a safe space for everyone involved." Moments later, Emma stepped into the room, her presence wrapped in a veil of anxiety that she clearly tried to mask with a forced smile. Clad in understated clothing, she appeared different from the woman who had stormed in and out of their lives. For a fleeting moment, something shifted deep within Rob. It was the realization that Emma held remnants of the person he once loved. And through Benjamin, there was a chance for healing. "Hi, Ben," Emma said softly, her voice carrying a tremor as she knelt down to his level. "I've missed you so much." Benjamin stepped back slightly, still hesitant but unsure of how to navigate his feelings. Hey, Mom." His response was laced with apprehension, yet he dared to rise to the occasion she had set before him. Rob watched the interaction, weighing the tension in the air. He needed to let Benjamin guide his emotions throughout this process, but a protective instinct surged within him. As Emma attempted to embrace their son, he subtly shifted between them, ensuring that she respected Benjamin's comfort. The session commenced, moments structured within boundaries set by Kelly. They began with simple icebreakers, encouraging moments of laughter before moving into deeper discussions. Rob listened attentively, his senses heightened. He wanted to ensure that Emma's intentions were genuinely aimed at establishing a healthy relationship with Benjamin. As discussions progressed, Emma spoke about her own experiences, seemingly vulnerable, but still navigating the edges of her faults. "I've been working hard on myself," she explained, her voice quivering. "Going to therapy helped me realize just how flawed I was. I want to be better for you, Benjamin." Rob exchanged glances with Kelly, who nodded slightly, quietly guiding the conversation. He could almost see the walls Emma had built, although obscured by layers of remorse. Yet regret needed to manifest into consistent actions if it were to hold any weight. Time crawled forward as moments turned into hours, filled with varying amounts of emotional exchange, some revealing and others veiled in apprehension. It was during a break that Rob stepped outside, unable to ignore the gnawing feeling in his gut. He knew that letting Emma back in was a risk, but was it one worth taking? Standing outside, he took a deep breath, allowing the crisp air to bathe his thoughts with clarity. He felt torn. It would be easy to adhere to the perspective of past wounds marred by betrayal. Still, Benjamin's voice echoed in his mind, how much he yearned for connection with his mother, even if shrouded in uncertainty. When he returned inside, he found Emma on the floor, her head bowed, and Benjamin perched by her side, their conversation heavy with emotion. It was a stark contrast from earlier, their connection starkly visible through simple touch and soft, expressive words. "Mom, I don't want you to go away again," Benjamin said quietly, his innocence on full display. Rob's heart ached as he processed how deeply this reunion touched both of them. "I promise I won't," Emma responded, her voice trembling. "I've hurt you, and it'll take time for you to trust me again, but I want to be here for you. Will you give me that chance?" Rob felt bile rise in his throat as he observed the depth of Benjamin's vulnerability in the moment. He wondered if Emma understood the weight of her words, the duty they imposed on her to show she could evolve from selfishness to accountability. "Mom, I just want to feel safe," Benjamin whispered, vulnerability radiating from him. Rob's heart broke because he knew how powerful that sentiment was for a child. "I want to help you feel safe," Emma replied earnestly, a few tears escaping from her eyes. "I want to show you that I can be there for you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I love you, Benny." Rob exchanged looks with Kelly, who nodded, as if to signal they would build upon this foundation of emotion, but also maintain protections. There was hope, he realized, but it rested on a precarious balance. After the sessions finished, Rob and Benjamin returned home, the echoes of the day buzzing within them. Benjamin scarcely spoke on the drive back as Rob pulled into their driveway, but the wheels were clearly turning in his mind. "Dad, do you think Mom will really come back like she said?" Benjamin finally asked, eyes wide with curiosity. Rob paused, taking a moment to choose his words carefully. "I hope so, buddy. But remember, actions speak louder than words. She has a long way to go to prove that she can be the mom you deserve." Benjamin nodded, but held a glimmer of hope in his eyes, prompting Rob to feel the weight of the world on his shoulders again. The process of healing would be filled with uncertainties, twists, and turns. It wouldn't unfold neatly every time. The journey to forge a brand new family dynamic would demand patience and persistence. Yet, as Rob tucked Benjamin into bed that night, sharing stories and laughter, he felt a quiet hope for the futures they would examine and reweave together. Through the complications of life, they began to understand that growth required courage, not only to confront demons, but to embrace the journey of transformation with open hearts. Whether Emma fully transformed remained uncertain, but in that moment, Rob made a silent promise to Benjamin that no matter what transpired in the months ahead, he would remain steadfast in his role as protector, a beacon of unwavering love and support. As he stood at Benjamin's door, watching his son drift into slumber, Rob felt privileged to be a part of such a magnificent journey, one that unveiled hope from the very foundation of love, resilience, and an unyielding commitment to family. Together, they would write their narratives anew, cautious yet unafraid to embrace the promise of a brighter tomorrow. As days turned into weeks, the delicate balance of emotions surrounding Emma's attempts to reconnect remained palpable. Rob was acutely aware that the path forward held uncertainty, and as the supervised visits continued, he approached each session with a mix of hope and apprehension. The visits had a structured format. Benjamin would spend a set amount of time with Emma, supervised by Kelly, the counselor. Each week revealed a spectrum of emotions. Moments of joy often mingled with the echoes of disappointment or frustration. Watching Emma navigate her role as a mother felt surreal. Sometimes she stumbled with her words, grasping for the right way to connect with their son, a complexity steeped in the pressure of reclaiming trust. One Thursday afternoon, Rob arrived with Benjamin at the counseling center, their routine beginning to feel almost normal. Yet there was a subtle shift in atmosphere that day. Benjamin seemed restless, his joyful demeanor replaced with pensiveness. "What's going on in that head of yours?" Rob asked as they settled into the waiting room. "Dad, I don't know if Mom really means it when she says she's changed," Benjamin confessed, his small voice shaky. Rob felt a pang of affection for his son's honesty. "It's okay to feel unsure, buddy. Trust takes time to rebuild, and you can express whatever you're feeling no matter what." As they walked into the counseling room, Rob reminded himself of Benjamin's vulnerability. It served as a guiding light through the uncertainty. They found Emma already there, shifting nervously in her chair as she awaited their arrival. "Hi, Ben," she greeted, attempting to inject brightness into her voice. I've got something special to show you today. Benjamin offered a hesitant smile, his eyes darting from her to Rob, seeking affirmation. Rob nodded subtly, encouraging Benjamin to engage while remaining cautious. Emma produced a small, hand-drawn card from her bag, a simple rendering of their family, with stick figures grasping one another's hands. I wanted you to know that I think of you all the time. You're always in my heart, she said, her genuine warmth palpable. Rob felt a flicker of warmth, but remained conscious of the gravity of her promises. This could be the moment that defined their relationship moving forward, one where her sincerity would either shine through or falter beneath scrutiny. Thanks, Mom, Benjamin said softly, extending his hand to accept the card. The small gesture held profound significance. A connection formed amidst the discrepancies and complexities. As the session unfolded, Rob watched Benjamin engage cautiously, a child striving for connection while testing the waters of rediscovered relationships. Kelly encouraged them to share feelings about the card, gently guiding the conversation. I just want to understand why things changed, Benjamin admitted, a disarming honesty woven into his inquiry. But why did you leave us, Mom? Silence hung in the air like a thick fog, drawing strained breaths all around. Emma's expression shifted from lighthearted to somber as she met the gaze of her son. Her youthful innocence rubbed raw, revealing the depths of her failures. I hurt you and I can't change that. I was lost in my own issues. I thought I could handle everything on my own, but I was wrong. With each word, Rob could discern the cracks forming in Emma's facade, her attempt to capture vulnerability, yet buried deep in inadequacies. He felt an urge to protect Benjamin from the weight of his mother's burdens, reminding himself to remain steady, to allow Benjamin authentic experiences without stripping away his hope. Mom, I don't want you to hurt me again, Benjamin whispered, his small hands fidgeting nervously. I promise I'll do my best, Ben, Emma responded softly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I want to make things right, and I'm here to show you that. It won't happen overnight, but I'll try. Rob observed their connection blossoming like seedlings through cracks in cement, delicate yet resilient. Benjamin's willingness to engage illuminated possibilities unyielding to betrayal, but he recognized deep down that Emma's sincerity had to be consistently upheld through action. The session continued with Benjamin exploring his feelings openly. He spoke of playing soccer at school, his love for dinosaurs, and the small joys he craved. Emma listened intently, nodding along, occasionally sharing her own perspectives, attempting to paint herself in a warmer light. Rob's heart fluctuated between cautious optimism and protective dread. He needed to remain vigilant, as the past's shadows still whispered around them. After the session, as they exited the center, Rob sensed a newfound lightness in Benjamin's demeanor. He could almost hear the rustling of hope rekindling within him. Dad, do you think Mom will really keep trying? Rob paused, contemplating the question carefully. I think you showed her that being vulnerable is important, and it opens pathways for real change. Just remember, it's a journey. It's okay to be hopeful but cautious too. You don't have to make any decisions about how you feel, Ben. Just take your time. Benjamin nodded, his face brightening as the two strolled toward their car, hand in hand. It struck Rob how empowering it was to empower Benjamin to define his feelings, steering the conversation, nurturing his trust, and expressing emotions. In the weeks that followed, their routine of supervised visits continued, steadily building momentum. Each interaction revealed a spectrum of emotions, laughter, tears, and those moments layered with uncertainty. Sometimes Benjamin would shy away from hugging Emma, while other times he sprang forward with cautious abandon, oscillating between vulnerability and self-protection. Rob received updates from Kelly. His involvement in each session allowed her to provide larger insights she gleaned from the interactions. Emma is showing progress, Rob, she assured him during one of their reviews. But you know this is a two-way street. She needs to keep demonstrating that she's genuinely changing, which will take time. Thanks, Kelly. I'm just trying to balance keeping Benjamin's experience authentic and protective, Rob replied, a shred of anxiety underlying his observations. Each visit gradually allowed for more openness, They began to include simple activities, from games to art projects, creating a space where their connections could flourish. They forged new shared experiences, weaving threads of joy among the remnants of their fractured family. One day, as they worked on a colorful mural together during their session, Benjamin suddenly declared, "I wish we could have a family day. Just us three. I want to be happy together." His enthusiasm lit up the room, even as Rob felt a wave of emotion crash over him. Emma glanced at Rob, her eyes wide, an unspoken question hanging between them. "What do you think? Could we plan a family outing someday?" she asked, fidgeting slightly as she spoke. Rob's heart raced. He could feel significant risks mounting, yet he recognized the pivotal moment this could present for all of them. Benjamin's desire for a family sparked something deep within him, a longing for reconciliation fused with apprehension about safety. After a moment of consideration, Rob replied, "It would have to be a gradual process, with comfort and security for Benjamin at its core. If you can show sustained commitment, we might consider a family outing in the future." Hope lit up Emma's face, but Rob reminded himself of the gravity of such a commitment. This new valley of emotional territory would need to navigate caution as it offered expansive possibilities. As they returned home, Rob felt the weight of the world shift slightly, open yet fraught with new responsibility. Emotions mingled between cautious hope and protective natural instinct. Yet through it all, it became clear to him, no journey undertaken was devoid of risk. But for Benjamin's sake, they were willing to embrace uncertainty with cautious optimism. That evening, as they sat together watching old cartoons, Rob glanced at Benjamin, who curled comfortably under the warmth of a blanket. He felt a swell of pride. He would always strive to protect this small, radiant light that had emerged from the chaos and shadows. Rob had seen the cracks in the foundations of their lives, yet now viewed them as opportunities crafted from resilience and tangible future possibilities. They held pieces of joy, tapestries of newfound connections woven through each experience and dialogue they fostered. It was a small, promising beginning, yet within it lay the potential for remarkable change, a transformation waiting to unfurl under the warmth of love, patience, and the stubborn determination to embrace even the most uncertain of paths. Together, they would navigate this unpredictable journey, guiding one another toward brighter tomorrows, bursting with the promise of healing, growth, and unbreakable familial bonds. The weeks following their decision to cautiously explore a family outing became a delicate dance of rising hopes and inevitable challenges. Emma made a significant effort to stick to the visitation schedule, and every session brought about a mix of excitement and apprehension. Rob fortified himself with the resolve that he needed to remain vigilant, especially for Benjamin's sake. One afternoon, as spring began to unfold, the sun warmed the earth, promising balmy days ahead. Rob felt a sense of renewal ignite within him. He was eager to discuss their next move regarding the potential family outing. He gathered them on the porch, where the air was fragrant with blooming flowers and the promise of renewal. "Hey, buddy," Rob said, knelt beside Benjamin, who was coloring a new picture. "You remember how we talked about a family day? What do you think of going to the zoo this weekend?" Benjamin's face lit up with glee, the corners of his mouth stretching into a broad smile. "Can Mom come?" he asked, his eyes wide with hope. Rob exchanged a glance with Emma. She had already shown that she was earnestly trying to reconnect, but this decision would require careful navigation. "Yes, if you're comfortable, I think a trip to the zoo could be fun. But remember, it's a big deal. We need to think about how to make it feel safe for everyone." "I can be good," Benjamin declared with a youthful bravado that filled the air with excitement. "I'll show Mom all my favorite animals. The giraffes and the lions." "Then it's settled," Rob affirmed, a gentle nod of agreement passing between him and Emma. "We'll plan on Saturday, and we'll talk more about it as we get closer." The days leading up to the zoo trip were filled with playful banter and joyful anticipation. Rob took the opportunity to create a fun countdown calendar with Benjamin. marking each day that passed with colorful stickers. Benjamin exclaimed with delight every time they indulged in the simple ritual, reminding Rob about all the animals he couldn't wait to see. On Saturday morning, the sun shone brightly as they prepared for the trip. Rob packed a picnic basket filled with sandwiches, fruit, and snacks, an essential part of any family outing he remembered fondly from his own childhood. Benjamin rushed around the house, bubbling with excitement, while Rob made sure everything was set. There was an increased tension in the air, a mixture of hope and anxiety as the moment approached. When Emma arrived, dressed casually and looking a bit nervous, Rob felt his chest tighten. "Ready?" he asked, forcing a smile. "Ready," Emma replied, her voice steady, yet tinged with nervous energy. "Thank you for letting me join you guys today." "You're welcome. Let's see how today unfolds," Rob said, aware that for Benjamin, this day held extraordinary significance. They jumped into the car, and as they drove toward the zoo, Rob felt a mix of trepidation and anticipation. Benjamin hummed with excitement in the back seat, chattering about the animals. Rob glanced at Emma in the rearview mirror. She met his gaze and offered a warm smile. It was that moment filled with unspoken possibilities of healing for them all. Upon arrival at the zoo, the atmosphere buzzed with families and laughter, the colorful exhibits brimming with life. Benjamin pulled on Rob's shirt, his eyes darting around wide-eyed as the whimsical sound of chirping birds filled the air. "Look, Dad! The monkeys!" "Let's start there," Rob replied, his spirits rising as they embarked on the adventure. They made their way through the sea of families, the joyous shouts of children reverberating all around them, as Benjamin darted excitedly from one exhibit to the next. Emma walked closely beside them, her enthusiasm also growing, although she remained cautious and tentative in her interactions. As they approached the monkeys, Rob took a deep breath, preparing himself for the emotional oscillations of the day. He could feel the walls of uncertainty around him. Would Emma be able to maintain a hold on her newfound commitment? Would this outing solidify their family dynamic or fracture it further? With every passing moment, he paid close attention to Benjamin, who was in his element, giddily shouting and point at the antics of the monkeys swinging through their enclosure. "Look, they're playing!" he exclaimed, laughter spilling forth, ringing through the air like cheerful music. Emma joined in the joy, crouching down to Benjamin's level, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest. "They really are playful," she remarked, eliciting a delighted squeal from Benjamin. In that instant, the barriers of tension felt momentarily dissolve. Next, they moved to the tiger exhibit, where Rob felt drawn into the moment as he watched Benjamin's pure fascination with nature. Emma approached him cautiously, her demeanor softer now, as they both shared glances of awe, watching the majestic animals prowling their enclosure. "It's incredible, isn't it?" Emma said, her tone imbued with sincerity as she glanced at Rob. "It really is," he replied, forcing himself to remain present while wrestling with the tension that still flickered beneath the surface. "I want him to have great memories." Emma nodded, absorbing the weight of his words and their significance. "I want that for him too," she admitted. In that moment, the warmth of shared experiences became a delicate thread, binding them together. Not yet sturdy, but beginning to weave a tapestry of new possibilities. They continued their journey through the zoo, exhibiting and exchanging laughs, discovering shared 100 moments, shaped by the vibrant colors and the sounds around them. At lunchtime, they found a shaded spot to set out the picnic blanket. Benjamin tore into his sandwich while chattering about the giraffes and elephants they were yet to see. Rob and Emma exchanged glances as they watched him play. It was a moment of genuine joy, overshadowing the complexities waiting beneath. As they shared their meal, laughter flowed freely, but Rob remained attentive. He needed to ensure that the atmosphere remained light and comfortable for Benjamin, who absorbed each ray of affection like it was a rare treasure. "Do you remember the last time we went to the zoo together?" Emma asked, her brows furrowed momentarily as if grappling with ghosts of the past. Rob wanted to brush aside the mention, but understood that this was part of the healing process. Benjamin looked between them expectantly, waiting for context. It was a long time ago, back when we still lived in the old house, Rob finally replied, maintaining his calm. It was chaos then. The zoo was fun, but it was different. We didn't really get to enjoy it. I remember, Emma said quietly. I was so distracted by everything. I lost sight of what really mattered. Rob felt a slight shift in the atmosphere. Her words carried gravity and a hint of humility, but he pondered whether Benjamin was ready to process this acknowledgement of the past. They continued the lunch, the playful banter returning as they swapped stories about animals and the wonder they created. After lunch, they headed towards the giraffes, and as they approached the towering creatures, Benjamin squealed in delight. Dad, look! They're so tall! Yes, they are, Rob responded, his heart alighting with joy emanating from Benjamin. Emma stepped closer, excitedly pointing out the unique spots on each giraffe. Did you know each giraffe has a unique pattern? Just like we all have unique fingerprints. Benjamin watched the animals, eyes wide with fascination. I love that. Can we remember all of them? He asked innocently. Rob couldn't help but smile at Benjamin's excitement. He felt a warmth grow as if the day was stitching the fragile fabric of their family back together, creating something new and promising. But as the experience deepened, Rob sensed the heavy clouds of apprehension still loomed. Their connection with Emma was blossoming, yet the fear of slipping back into chaos remained ripe in his mind. Throughout the day, they continued navigating the zoo, sharing moments of laughter and excitement, and creating memories collaboratively, one joyful interaction at a time. Yet, the tensions in Rob's heart didn't dissipate completely. He needed to remain cautious, protecting Benjamin, while ensuring they resisted the allure of nostalgia wrapped in pain. As they wrapped up their outing, Benjamin, exhausted but glowing, exclaimed, "That was the best day ever!" His face radiated with happiness, each smile setting Rob's heart lighter. Rob turned to Emma, who echoed Benjamin's sentiment with a cautious smile. "Thank you for today," she said. "I wanted to be there for him." It felt like a glimpse of what could be. Rob nodded, but felt the burden of cautious optimism weigh on his shoulders. It's just one day. He needed to remind her and himself that progress was still fragile. As they drove home, Benjamin fell asleep in the back seat, the whir of the engine soothing him into a gentle slumber. Emma and Rob exchanged glances, fraught with measured understanding. They both understood that the journey toward family cohesion required time and patience. But today's glimmer of connection revealed the infinite possibilities of rebuilding what had once been lost. It instilled a delicate sense of hope, a dynamic that at this juncture was both nurturing and intimidating. As they reached home and settled Benjamin into his bed, Rob found himself reflecting on the nuances of the day, acknowledging the steps they had taken together. However imperfect, there was potential for evolving synergy. Standing in the silence of the night as he tucked Benjamin in, he whispered, "We're growing, buddy. It may take a long time, but together we can keep building towards something wonderful." With that thought resonating in his mind, Rob stared at the breath of the night, allowing himself to become fully immersed in the challenge of forging ahead. A shared journey of navigating complexities, embracing moments of vulnerability, and deeply exploring the intricacies of love. Tomorrow awaited, as would the resilience to face everything that it would bring. The following week unfolded with a renewed sense of potential. The family outing to the zoo had ignited a flicker of hope in Rob, and he approached each day brimming with a cautious optimism. Emma maintained her commitment to therapy and consistently showed up for her scheduled visits, which helped Rob see glimmers of the person he had once loved. As Benjamin settled back into the rhythm of school, Rob began to notice subtle changes at home. The boy spoke frequently about his time with Emma, recounting anecdotes from the zoo, the laughter they shared, and the excitement that brewed between the three of them. For Rob, each mention was both a reassurance and a reminder that trust could still be regained, but fears never fully dissolved. "Dad, can we go to the park again this Saturday?" Benjamin asked one evening over dinner, his fork poised midair, excitement radiating through his voice. "Of course. We can pack a picnic and maybe even bring your soccer ball," Rob replied, seeing the sparkle in Benjamin's eyes. Maybe we can invite Mom again? Benjamin suggested tentatively, gauging Rob's reaction. Rob paused, his heart fluttering nervously. He knew this dream was an integral part of Benjamin's healing, but also recognized the weight of such invitations. Let's keep that in mind. We'll see how tomorrow's visit goes, he said thoughtfully. The next day, during Emma's visit, Rob decided to broach the idea of another outing. They met at the family counseling center, the familiar walls wrapping around them with a sense of anticipation. Benjamin, infectious energy, bubbling with enthusiasm, dashed into the room, ready to share all the things he had been thinking since their last visit. "Mom, can we all go to the park this weekend, just like at the zoo?" Benjamin chirped, his eyes radiant. Emma looked at Rob, searching for his support. There was a moment of silence, enriched by a mix of anxiety and hope. "I think that's a fantastic idea," she started, her voice steady. "I'd love to join you both. It would be nice to spend time together." Rob met her gaze, examining the sincerity in her eyes. "Okay, if everyone is on board, we can make the plan," he said cautiously, wanting to keep his guard intact. As they continued their conversation, Rob was struck by how Emma engaged with Benjamin. Her laughter was genuine, and her affection felt real. This marked a significant transition, and he wondered if the seeds of transformation she had planted were beginning to flourish. They spent the entire hour discussing fun things they could do at the park, and even made a list of games Benjamin wanted to play, everything from tag to frisbee. "Can we bring snacks too?" Benjamin's infectious optimism spread like wildfire. "Absolutely," Emma replied, her tone warm and supportive. "I want to make it special for you." Once the session concluded, Rob watched them interact with growing curiosity and hope. Though every step forward felt fragile, it held the promise of a journey toward healing. Saturday morning arrived, filled with the crispness of early spring. Rob prepared their picnic in the kitchen, making careful choices about what to include: sandwiches, fruits, and Benjamin's favorite cookies. A sense of purpose enveloped his thoughts as he set off to the park with Benjamin strapped into the back seat. "Are you excited for the park?" Rob asked, glancing back in the rearview mirror. "Super excited. I can't wait for Mom to see me kick the ball," Benjamin shouted, his enthusiasm resonating throughout the car. Arriving at the park, Rob felt a wave of nostalgia wash over him. The familiar sounds of families enjoying their day, children's laughter piercing the air, and the delightful scent of blooming flowers and cut grass tugging at his heart. He parked, and as they exited, he noticed Emma arriving at the entrance. She waved, her smile brightening the day and sending ripples of hope through him. "Hey, you too!" she called out, her energy infectious as she approached them, holding a colorful blanket. "Mom, look at my new soccer ball!" Benjamin exclaimed, bouncing on his feet. "That's awesome! You're going to show me some moves later?" Emma grinned, kneeling beside Benjamin to inspect the vibrant ball branded with their favorite team's colors. Rob took a moment to observe their interaction, gauging both their comfort levels amid the continued shifts in their dynamic. He felt the layers of their past linger slightly, undoubtedly present, yet slowly beginning to dissipate. As they settled onto the blanket, setting out their picnic, Rob felt a cautious yet tangible thrill of connection building. They munched on sandwiches and engaged in easy conversation, pathways of laughter reconnecting them. "Let's play some frisbee first," Benjamin suggested, his eyes gleaming. "Then, we can kick the soccer ball later." Emma's laughter echoed lightheartedly. "I'm in, but be prepared. I'm a frisbee champion." Rob smiled, watching as Benjamin's anticipation transformed into sheer joy, unfolding as they played together. The trio ran in circles which infused their outing with a lightness that felt almost magical. It was moments like these, filled with laughter, spontaneity, and playful spirit, that Rob had longed for. It wasn't long before Benjamin's face gleamed with exhilaration. "Let's switch to soccer," he yelled, tossing the frisbee aside. "I want to show Mom how fast I can kick." As they made the transition to the soccer ball, Rob felt a wave of contentment wash over him. He was proud that Benjamin could embrace both past and present. forging connections as he navigated a reality with his mother. As the game progressed with shouts and cheers, Rob witnessed Emma genuinely participating and cheering Benjamin on, all while taking care not to push him beyond his comfort. Their bond seemed to grow with each successful kick. Emma stole glances at Rob, often exchanging subtle smiles, as Benjamin exuberantly raced back and forth across the grassy field. "Okay, here's the ultimate challenge," Emma announced suddenly, excitement sparking in her eyes. "How about we take turns? If you kick past the halfway point, you win." "Bring it on," shouted Benjamin, and Rob felt a rush of laughter bubble within him, nearly uncontainable at their competitive spirit. The game continued with friendly rivalry, Benjamin proudly showcasing his skills as if aiming for the stars, but consistently allowing the adults their fair share of fun as well. Rob watched as Emma celebrated each kick with genuine pride, a sharp contrast to the distant memories swirling in his mind. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the park, they gathered together beneath the golden light, taking a break to sip water and munch on fruit. The air buzzed around them with serenity. "Thanks for coming today, Emma," Rob said, breaking the momentary silence. "It means a lot to us." Emma's expression softened and sincerity washed over her features. "Thank you both for having me. This feels wonderful." "I've realized how much I miss these days," she replied, sincerity flooding her voice. Rob took a breath as he gauged her words and tone, knowing they signified a step toward genuine reconciliation. But caution still nibbled at the edges of his heart. He understood the road ahead would require more than just dialogue. It was built on consistent actions that would create lasting change. "I want to keep doing this," Benjamin said, small hands clenching the soccer balls. He gazed up at them. "I want us to be a family." Rob glanced at Emma. They exchanged warm but reflective looks, each word hanging briefly in the air like a promise. This was the fundamental crux of their journey, a shared desire for connectivity and stability in a world they were still learning to navigate together. As they resumed their playful banter, Rob fought for composure amidst the growing hope within him. He knew the day would be remembered not just for the activities, but for forging new ties, a fresh beginning for them all. With the last rays of sunlight fading behind the horizon, Rob realized that these moments were pivotal. Each shared laugh and joyful connection breathed life into a future he believed was possible. Together, they would journey forth, bound by the fragile threads of hope and determination, crafting a new family story through the tangled paths of yesterday and tomorrow alike. And as they packed up, excitement echoed through them, like the promise of dawn breaking over the horizon. The family created amidst challenges illuminated not just their lives, but the path leading toward healing. In every laughter shared and every footstep taken together, they felt a little lighter, more unified, a hopeful collective moving forward with courage.